On the line right now from Zogby Analytics is John Zogby. John, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
How are you this morning?
I am well.
Listen, we have. I've been wondering about how does the polling work. There used to be a time when you'd see somebody did an internet poll, and you'd be like, "Wow, that's just an internet poll." But now it seems that it's becoming the only avenue, right, with the loss of the landline.
Well, we've said that, for a long, long time. But yeah, it is. The first of all, response rates are very, very low. When I started in 1984, we had response rates about 65%.
This is a phone. This would be telephone.
Yeah, on a landline telephone. No answering machines, and a long-distance call was still considered to be, a social event. And then, here we are today. Response rates, we're lucky when they're 15.
Wow.
15%. Half the calls have to be made now onto cell phones, and not atypically, Bill. A typical poll will be 40, 60, 80 questions. You really can't do that on a cell phone.
Yeah.
So internet, is truly the way.
And how long has that been? How long has that changed? Really, if you think about it, probably 5 years. I mean, this is moving very quickly.
Yeah, we started experimenting in 1999 along with Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And we began to go public with them in 2004. But you're seeing, just in the last year and a half or so, Gallup, a late adapter, saying that they're shifting to Internet. But, 5 or 6 years is about right, I think, with a tipping point.
Wow. And does that help with the expense? I would imagine you less manpower for something like that, right?
It's a lot less manpower, and it does help with expense. It keeps it down.
All right, so let's talk political expense. Does
Sure.
Biden help with Hillary and the Democrats by getting in the race?
Does he help? He helps the Democrats.
Yeah.
To be sure. The Hillary campaign, I think, is not quite in free fall, but she's going to have a very difficult time recovering from this. Biden more than likely will run. If he decides not to, somebody else will. She's a damaged front runner and is not really showing the capacity to bounce back.
You saw this really early on. It was a year ago. You were telling us not going to do it.
Too much baggage.
Yeah.
And also, I have a piece in Forbes, posted it on Sunday. Essentially the notion that the Clintons, it's one thing to have a comeback after you've disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
But the Clintons are out there and in your face every day. And I think folks are just tired right now.
And who is who could be, can Biden win this thing?
Can he win the nomination? Sure. Someone else can and probably will win the nomination. Sure, Biden is good on his feet. Yes, he has run twice for president before and lost. But this time, there's a lot of goodwill in the party, a lot of goodwill in the nation, I think, towards Joe Biden. A lot of jokes about him, but there's no doubt that he helped Barack Obama get elected in 2008. Even Biden's worst enemies will admit that he's ready, he's experienced.
There's almost
he can be president.
There's a realness about him, an authenticity that you don't feel when you think about Hillary.
No, not at all. Who is she? She's been in public life for many, many years. Hey, she can be very nice and very credible and very real, one-on-one and in small groups. But constantly reinventing herself, and that's something you can do when you're not known. But Hillary's been out there now for actually 3 decades. How do you keep reinventing yourself?
Yeah.
It obviously begs the question, who are you?
Okay, let's switch to the other side. And, of course, Trump just sucking all the life out of. And it's interesting to see the people that are showing up at these rallies.
Yeah.
They're minorities in some cases. They're not just the right wing of the Republican Party. You're looking at Democrats out there too. And we keep saying this can't happen. It's not going to happen. This is just a wave. I don't know. This is really getting interesting.
There's anger. He's tapped into it. Bernie Sanders has. As you say, Trump's support is eclectic. It's just not sustainable. Right now, it is a summer fling. He's scoring points whenever he says something outrageous. But the key thing is once you get into the fall and you get very, very serious about the race, you'll see some of that support plateau and then stabilize, down lower, second, third, fourth place, very much like Howard Dean. Howard Dean, in my polling, was ahead 36 points in New Hampshire a month before New Hampshire. He was leading in Iowa by 10 points, 3 weeks before Iowa, because the key question that we were asking, this is now 2003, do you want somebody who can beat George W. Bush or somebody who stands up for his principles, right or wrong? Two out of three were saying they want a principled candidate. Closer you got to the Iowa caucuses, that flipped 2-1. They wanted somebody to beat George W. Bush.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the same thing here.
And then he made that crazy yell and that scream heard around the world. And then
to be truthful, he was already losing. That sort of just closed the lid on the coffin.
Almost like a desperate, like this weird desperate move.
John, Bill's question about the demographics of those showing up to support Trump, wasn't it reported initially that maybe he was paying people to show up? Is that true, and is that still going on?
It was true at his announcement, and then early on, it was also true that he was, in fact, paying people at some of his early rallies. Not anymore.
No, he doesn't need to anymore.
No, he doesn't need to. There's something genuine right now about the support that he's getting. I just don't think that it's sustainable.
Crazy. All right, Andrew.
Either that or there are still some people waiting on checks.
Okay, maybe
they're
showing up for the checks. No, I guess it's pop. But it is now. What happens though if you remove everybody away and you leave one candidate? Maybe it's Carly Fiorini. I don't know. You leave one candidate against Trump, and everybody else is out. What happens to all of those numbers?
Well, you know what? He's in the mid-20s. There was a poll out yesterday that had him at 32. But no, the fact of the matter is you're going to get into a situation where it's anybody but Trump.
Yeah.
And after the next CNN debate, you're going to see a lot, which is September 16th. Within 2 days, you're going to see a lot of people just dropping out of the race. And so it'll be a combination of focus on one or two candidates.
Yep.
Each segment of the party will have its own favorite, and Trump just will not be able to outrage anymore. He's going to have to come up with policies. Voters in Iowa and New Hampshire take this as a very sober responsibility, and they normally end up with a moderate kind of candidate.
Sounds like you have a pollster at the door, John, so we'll let you go. All right, enjoy your day. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
John Zogby, analyst.